Hello everyone, I'm Roger Lasad and I love real estate. Welcome to my channel. Let's get into discussing, are we heading for another housing crash? Part 2. Let's get into it. All right guys, I've been away for about a week. I basically had like a really bad cold. I don't know if you guys can tell, but my voice is still sounds a little bit funny. So hopefully that doesn't hurt you guys' ears too bad. I definitely wanted to talk about this. A lot of people have reached out to me. It is a big concern. And I can't blame them because look, they've got headlines like new home starts implode as it's 17% less. Or that house prices are plummeting. You know, of course, if you hear headlines like that, you would be very concerned, especially if you're in the market for a home or you're thinking about selling and maybe upgrading or relocating. You're like, hey, what do I do? So guys, fortunately, last week, my broker, Richard Bass, Keller Williams Realty, put together what's known as Keeping Current Matters, where he has a third-party company that comes in and does a ton of research. And I just wanted to share some slides with you and just to kind of see where things are going. Now, keep in mind, guys, I always say this. The data and the numbers, let those be your guides. Don't necessarily listen to me, that guy, your gut feeling, whatever. We live in a world that's very complex, and I usually try to let other things guide me that are a bit more reliable. So let's get into it. All right, so let me share my screen here. Okay, boom. So the first slide I want to show you is how home prices have appreciated since World War II. As you can see, and actually, there you go. So I guess I'm kind of blocking out. But anyway, it starts off at 1945. It goes up. And then we hit 2006, and then right after that was 2008 financial crisis. And as you can see, it still continues to go up here. So what this graph basically shows is that although there have been periods of time that we have experienced a downturn in prices, the trend is generally upwards. And let's move on. Oh, went a little bit too fast. So here's a really good data point. It's about forbearances edge downwards. Now, for those of you guys who know what a forbearance is, because of the pandemic, and a lot of people lost their jobs because, you know, the government basically shut down the economy. People were confined to their homes. A lot of companies basically weren't able to function under those situations. And because of that, a lot of people had reduced or lost income. So with taking that into account, the government and the banks came up with a strategy to help people out. And one of those options they offered, which was forbearance, which is essentially you could you could not make payments for a certain amount of time, whether it be like 3 payments, 4 payments, 5 payments. And what they most likely would do is put those payments at the end of the loan, or once you get out of forbearance, you could catch up, etc. So what this graph depicts here is the amount in millions of the homes that were in forbearance. So as you can see here, May of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, we had 4.76 million homes in forbearance. And as you see, over the time, that number went down all the way down to less than 700,000 homes as of April of this year. This is a positive data set here, but let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so I know you guys are like, well, you know, they were in forbearance, whatever, but what happened when they got out of forbearance? This is the slide that tells you guys, so let's break this down. All right, loans upon exiting forbearance program. 37% were paid in full, not the full loan, but the amount that they were in forbearance, they ended up taking care of that. The next 44.6 were able to work out some type of repayment plan, which is great. And then about 18.4% were still in some type of financial trouble, which is not the best situation, but I think this is still a good data set to look at. The numbers are still very strong. And this goes, we're looking at up to March 31st, 2024. So this is a strong data set. So let's go to the next one here. Yep. Yeah, so not that one. Okay. This is the one I was waiting on, guys. All right, so lending standards, nothing like the early 2000s. Now, I don't know how many people watching this video were old enough or or were involved in the whole real estate market of the early to mid 2000s. But what this graphic is essentially depicting is the difference in product risk and borrower risk from the early 2000s up until the crash of 2008 till now. So if we look at the red line here, this is telling you the risk profile of the mortgage products, right? And this is telling you the borrower risk. Now, as you can see, from 1999, it was pretty high, it goes down, and then there's a dramatic uptick around 2004, and then it peaks out in 2007, and then it basically drops off a cliff in 2008. Now, for those of you that weren't around, not paying attention, whatever, I cannot emphasize how crazy the lending standards were. All right, what do I mean by this? Is what I mean by it. They literally had ninja loans, guys. What do I mean by ninja loans? No income, no job, no asset check. All they wanted was basically a credit score. If you had a really good credit score, the sky was the limit, and they were writing loans like that. Which, if you think in that context, it's not really a surprise as to why what happened ended up happening, because essentially a lot of people that they never really qualified or really did due diligence to make sure that not just they had a great credit history, but they actually had the ability to be able to pay back these loans, because the assumption was, hey, houses are going to keep going up, skyrocketing forever. If this person doesn't pay, doesn't pay back the mortgage or runs into trouble, they'll just turn around, sell it for more money than they purchased it, and move on to the next. Obviously, unfortunately, that's not what happened, and it ended up being a game of financial music chairs, where a lot of people, when the music stopped, found out that they didn't have a seat to cover their you-know-what. So, but this is showing that right now, though, the mortgage risk and the borrower risk are nothing like what it was back in the mid-2000s that led up to the financial crisis. Let's see what we got next here. Okay, foreclosure activity. What's going on with foreclosures? Well, this is another great graphic that breaks down the difference between then and now. If we look at foreclosures in 2005, we were a little over 500,000. And then by 2007, 1.3. Then it jumps to 2.3 in 2008, 2.8, 2.9, and then it steadily goes back down. And you could see that as of the first quarter, which basically ended in March 2022, this year, we're only at 78,000. Once again, this is a good graphic, and although I'm not claiming that I have a crystal ball, and you shouldn't listen to anyone that says they know what is going to happen, I'm just looking at these numbers and the data sets to try to guide my decisions, and I think that's the best way for you guys to do it as well. So according to this particular data set, this is another thing that's pointing to the fact that we're probably not heading to a housing crash anytime soon. Because look, these are strong numbers, not very many foreclosures going on. And using the 2008 financial collapse as a comparison, like we're nowhere near what was going on back then. So, and then next graphic. And of course, I talked about lending standards. So if we just look at, good, so so this graphic is depicting the amount of loans in billions that were issued to people with a credit score below of 620. As you can see, during the early to mid 2000s, we had a lot of loans issued to people with what would be considered not great credit scores. Whereas, once we corrected for that, we got out of the mess. As you can see, lending standards tightened dramatically. And once again, nowhere near what it was back then. Let's go to the next graphic. Okay, mortgage debt is not a challenge. Household debt service ratio for mortgages as a percentage of disposable income. Totally quarterly required mortgage payments divided by total core disposable income. All right, so this is another great graphic. I mean, once again, simply put, more people were spending a greater percentage of their disposable income towards housing back in 2007 than they are today. And I know what a lot of you guys are saying. You're like, Roger, stuff just skyrocketed. I mean, we have inflation. Interest rates just went up. I understand that. But what this graphic is pointing out is that even when you take that into account, we're still not as bad as it was back then, guys. All right, so mortgage payments for cash out refis. Excuse me. I mean, you're basically seeing a trend here, guys. Once again, if we go to the 2008s, we're seeing a huge amount of people that not only had mortgages, but they were also using their houses like piggy banks, or actually like ATMs, actually. So what was happening is that, you bought your house for $300,000. A couple of years later, it's worth $6,000. And, you've got a neighbor that just went out and purchased a boat, or someone just went out and brought a brand new SUV. And when you ask them, they're like, yeah, we just took a home equity line of credit. We took some money out of the house since it's gone up so much. And, we could just pay it back whenever. So as you can see, definitely not the same case right now. Because if you look at this, it's extremely low, actually. Really low, which is another good sign. But anyway, guys, I'm going to cut it right there. I just wanted to, like I said, I just wanted to share a couple slides with you guys. I haven't been on in a week, so I just wanted to definitely put a video out. I will be back making videos on Tuesday. Monday, obviously, is Memorial Day weekend. And definitely going to spend some time with some family this weekend. And I definitely wanted to come on here and thank all the people for all of the kind words in the comments. I appreciate the suggestions. For you guys that did not want to see my bed anymore, I've got this background. So hopefully, this works. And don't worry, guys. I'm going to work on getting more equipment and make this a little bit more polished. Once again, this is like my fourth video, which I forgot to say, episode 4. So, it's a work in progress, guys. But anyway, I appreciate the comments. If you got value from this video, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And like I said, I'm open to any suggestions on how I can make the channel better. Any questions you guys have. Obviously, if I get a bunch of people asking the same questions, I'm going to address that. And I know a few people even asked me about doing a live video, which, I'm going to have to, that's something I'm probably going to have to do. If you guys have any suggestions as to the best time, the best day and time for a live video, and I would probably maybe figure out a way to do it interactive where people can call in and ask their questions as well as super chat. That's something I'm going to be working on. But anyway, guys, I'm Roger Lasad. Hey, guys, keep learning, keep earning, and watch out for those deals out there because they're out there. All right, guys, see you in the next one.